Good evening and welcome to the Choir Directors Academy class. Another one, yes, another one. I want to thank you all for liking and sharing. First of all, my name is Angela Elaine. I think you all kind of know that by now. You see my face, my signature teacher look. Yeah. But anyway, that's my name and we have another session. Thank you all so much for tuning in, for liking and sharing all of these videos and for your comments and for all of the things that you say and do. I truly appreciate it. Also, I want to give a shout out to the people that are in Carolina, North and South Carolina. Specifically Professor John Henry and the North Carolina A&T University and everybody out there, his families. There's a lot of people that are from the Carolina, from the East Coast area that tune in, and we want to pray for them that God protect them during this storm. I haven't talked to him lately, but I know he's soliciting prayers when I did make a mention of it, and I mentioned it on Facebook. And he chimed in, and they're packing up. They're trying to be proactive and get everything set up. But so please include the North Carolina and the Carolina area where that Hurricane Florence is on its way. I mean, because, you know, us in Chicago, we may not deal with hurricanes and things of that sort, but we do have the wintertime coming. Yes, we do. And we also want consideration because we're going to need prayer. We've been getting by pretty easily lately. We've been getting by. So we want to keep them in our prayers. Okay. But in the midst of that, those of you who are on YouTube, Facebook, please like and share this video. Let people know about it. And if you have friends that do not like Facebook, then please refer them to our YouTube channel. Same title. Refer them to the YouTube channel, and we can get the same information to them. They can learn. They'll just get a more condensed form. They won't be able to read the comments, but they will be able to hear the lessons and see what's going on. Shout out to Annette. Thanks for sharing. To my mother is here, Geraldine Garrett. Hi, Roy. Oh, you made it. You made it just in time. That's awesome. Listen, we're not going to be an extremely long time on tonight, but I do want to talk about some things. Rules and regulations for the choir, R&R. And people have been asking, sending messages to my to the messenger, asking for copies, information on how to write up rules and regulations. I call it R&R just to get people's attention, but it's rules and regulations. And some people, they don't have any. Sometimes we think because a choir is small that we really don't need to have rules and regulations, but yes, you do. Everything needs to have rules and regulations. If you're an organization and you got more than 2 or 3 people there, you need to have rules and regulations going on. Yes, you do. Yes, you really, really do. First of all, what is the purpose of rules and regulations? It's for organization. It doesn't matter if it's a church, if it's a school, if it's a corporation of 3 people. You need to have rules and regulations. It just makes things flow easier. People need to have a point of reference. And a lot of times, you can't do everything just flying, and just, as they say, willy-nilly. You can't just do that because as things happen, some people develop their rules as things happen, but it's better that you have some kind of systematic way of doing things before people even start getting involved. Because if a person is like me, when I walk in the door, I'm going to say, okay, do you have a list of rules? Do you have a list of principles? I mean, what you got? I mean, that's just how I'm wired. I just like to have things written down so I know. Then I don't have to always run back to you, the Mother May I thing. Mama, can I do that? No, I don't need that. If you give me a system of rules, I'm going to read them and I'm going to follow through with everything that's being said. That's just how I am. It just makes it easier. And it also gives you another time to spend time on developing people instead of the Mother May I. Everything they do, you got to be right there. No, if you give them the rules and put it on them to read. Now corporations have you to read it, and then have you sign a document saying, yes, I have read this. Have you noticed that on everything that you do when you get ready to process anything, they always say, have you read? I agree that I have read thus and so. We should do the same thing when we have a choir. Actually, churches should do the same thing. You should have maybe not the entire bylaws, but you need to have like the operational set, a condensed version that new people can read when they come in, so they know what they're getting into. People need to know that. And a lot of times that's why some choirs don't last, or the members don't last as long as they should, because they don't know what they're getting into. Most people think of a choir as, oh, we're just gathering, we're just singing, and that's all we do. But it's a lot more going on than that. Direction, which also kind of is a derivative of what I just said earlier. They need direction. That's always proper, so people know what they are responsible for doing. You do that on the job. You do that in college. They give you a syllabus so you know what you're responsible for. Also, it promotes unity. And I don't know why I'm sweating like this. I really don't. The air conditioner is on, so I don't know why I'm nervous talking about rules and regulations. But anyway, it promotes unity. Okay, everybody's not running off on their own tangent on what they think that it should be. We all have one syllabus or one set of rules that we all know that we're held accountable to, and we have to come up to that standard. If not, then we need to move on. It does, that's just simple. Liability. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about, but in today's churches, there is a lot of liability lawsuits going on. Hey, Beatrice. Hey, Don. Thanks for watching. There are a lot of liability lawsuits going on. And if you watch the video with Dr. Cynthia Nunn about a couple of weeks ago, she mentioned that when you have a choir, you need to establish some liability concerns. She said, because when you're traveling with the choir, we think, oh, we just gathered a group of people and we're going to Texas or we're going to Australia, whatever. But she talked about the liability insurance that you need to have. Things that people need to know what they're accountable for. They need to have their own insurance. And then you got to get group insurance. So it's a lot of things that you need to be accountable for, that you need to consider when you're doing a group. Now, I have two sets of rules and regulations that I kind of put together here. One of them, I put it together real quick, and I sent it out to various people because they wanted an idea, because their particular choirs didn't have, and they're new ministers of music or new choir directors, and they just wanted something that they can kind of follow. For, basically the basic format for like a small choir, I would suggest four areas. Number one, I understand what I'm giving you. I'm not saying you have to do it that way, but I'm just giving you a guideline. Everybody's church is different, okay? They may already have something that they're holding everybody accountable for, but I'm just giving you an idea. So it's four areas that I think are very important to consider. And number one, you should enunciate, because I'm speaking of an average small church choir. Rehearsals should be defined. Choir member duties, communication between choir members, how we interact with one another, and just general choir etiquette, or just how we do things. Number one, with rehearsals, you should notate, that attendance is required. That should be a given, but some people feel that they can, and I've covered this with a lot of choir directors. People think they don't have to come to choir rehearsal until you have an event. Then all of a sudden you go from the standard 10 to the standard to 25 or 30 folks. They don't feel that they have to attend choir rehearsal. But what you don't know is if you lose when you don't go to choir rehearsal. You can't just assume, well, oh, we just going to go over these songs or whatever, but you miss something. It's almost like, and there's nothing wrong with online classes, because that's what we have to do sometimes in order to get a degree. I have to do online stuff as well. But there is something extra that you get when you actually attend a class in a university. You sit in the class with a professor talking to you. There are some real life examples and things of that sort, or interaction with other students, that you kind of miss if when you take an online class. So that's all I'm saying. But make sure they understand that attendance is expected. You don't show up whenever you want to. You need to come to choir rehearsal. Number two, respect must be shown towards all members in the choir. I can't just sit there and start an argument with you and, and just, bicker and whatever else. No, we have to respect one another. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in some churches, they have you to put a handle on everybody's name. Because sometimes when you keep that, put a handle on somebody's name, like you call them sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so or deacon, whatever, not because you're reverencing the title, but sometimes it just keeps a respectable, like we have the respectable, then 3 feet from the edge of your hand until the end. Sometimes you just have to keep that respectful distance, because if you get too common with people, they'll start saying anything. Hey, Demetria, they'll start saying anything, and then stuff gets out of hand, and everybody start, misinterpretations, and we have all kinds of things going on, and we don't want that in the choir. You cannot rehearse effective. You can't rehearse with a good spirit if everybody's bickering and nobody's respecting each other. We have to have respect. Your practice goes beyond the rehearsal. A lot of people just come to choir rehearsal, and once they go over a song and rehearse, they don't think about the song at all. It's like, okay. And then, they don't exactly have the best memory retention, because then when you get up on Sunday morning, you got to play the song like almost 5 minutes before everybody realize, oh, that's how that song go. You have to practice even when you're outside of rehearsal. You take this job seriously so that you do what's necessary. If you know that you're a person that does not retain the song that well, bring a recorder and record the song. You have to do what you have to do to learn your part. Don't rely on the director and wear them out. Bring a recorder. Some people do. They bring a recorder to choir rehearsal. I know I do sometimes when I'm singing with other people. It's so much going on. Do what's necessary to help you. But your rehearsal goes beyond what's going on in the choir rehearsal. Number 4, under that, I just got 4 little things. It's not going to be long. All music department members are expected to give their undivided attention during rehearsal. And anybody that's a choir director know how irritating that is while you're trying to teach parts and you got people holding conversation, they checking their phones, they just doing everything, looking in the sip. And then when you get ready to go over the part with them, they can't, that's aggravating. It really is. It's aggravating because, in my rehearsals, I tell if I'm rehearsing with the sopranos, then I tell the altos and tenors, please listen to the melody. So when I get to you, I shouldn't have to say much to you because you listening to what I'm doing with the sopranos. If I'm rehearsing with them, this is, the second time we've heard the song, then you should hear the words. You should hear the melody. You should, if you know how to sing alto or tenor, in your mind, you should kind of be able to harmonize with them. So by the time I come over here to you, you should be already there. I should have minimal work to do. So that's in you have given the rehearsal undivided attention. Just come in and focus, because I find that you really don't need a lot of time for rehearsals. You really don't. If everybody comes in focused and ready with undivided attention, focused and ready, you can go through about 5 or 6 songs quick. Now, if this is a brand new song you're introducing, it may take a few minutes. You might take you 15, 20 minutes. It depends upon the skill set of your choir, though. That has a lot to do with it. But if you're dealing with people who are very good at singing, in 30, 40 minutes, you can go through 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 songs. It depends on the group. So we want to do that. Choir member duties. I was thinking they need to remember the purpose of the choir. The choir, you're just not singing in church. Praising God should be the main purpose. You're not showboating. Some people like to get in the choir because they want to be singing. That's not the purpose of the choir. Make sure they understand that. And that the word of God should be part of your life. You really should be reading the Bible. I mean, you singing the gospel. You really should know what you singing about, okay? We are witnessing through songs. I thought that was interesting. One choir director brought that up, that we're witnessing through songs, and I thought that was pretty interesting. Every word that we sing is a derivative of the word of God. Just may be arranged differently. We may not say the these and the thous, but we're actually singing the word of God. And that should be a part of your life. You really can't sing. You can sing a song and not really know what you're singing about. But to be effective, it's better if you singing a song and you know what you're singing about. It just makes it better. because a person can relate to you when you're singing. People can tell when that song is a part of you. You have some solo people that can sing a solo, and they can sing it, and you kind of, they get up and down, and you kind of sitting there going, oh, okay. But then somebody who may not have the best of voices, they may not be able to do all the riffs and the runs, they can get up and sing a song. I need thee, oh, I need thee, and tear the church up before the speaker even gets up. So, because that song is a part of their lives. Interpersonal communication. The choir director is responsible for corrective actions. I've seen that get out of hand several times in choir rehearsal. When the person sitting next to a one and they're singing, they're out of tune, and then this person decides to tell them, you out of tune. Well, you know what? You out of tune. People are not going to leave that to the choir director. You know why? Because the person is expecting them to correct. Because they know the song. They know that's their responsibility. We should stay in our lanes and let the choir director handle the job. If you have any issues with another choir member, I've been in situations with that, even in my own choir where they had issues with another choir member. Sometimes you got to be a referee. I don't like it, but sometimes, you got to kind of figure out what's going over there in that section. Nobody, you see frustration on people's faces. You need to as a choir director, you need to intervene, but let them know, come to me. If you can't resolve, you should be, honestly, as saints, we should be able to resolve any differences between ourselves without bringing the whole mass of people in there. We really should. That's the way we're supposed to do. We're supposed to go to one another and work and iron that thing out. And if two choir members can't work it out, then they need to go to the director to kind of get it straightened out. And also, we're supposed to encourage other people to get into the choir. And one choir director mentioned that, said, choir members should encourage other people to join the choir. Tell them what the choir means to you. Okay, just general choir etiquette. I'm going to go through these real quick. Number one, choir members should conduct themselves as a model for others to follow. That's true. You should be punctual for service. That's kind of like a bad thing. The choir's already in the stand, and then you see 5 or 6 choir members come running in. I always say, get there early. Settle down, get your mind together so that you can do an effective job. But some people like to get there at the last minute, or they get there after minute. Anybody remember that movie Drumline? When Dr. Lee told him, he said that if you're 5 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. All right. Tell them to get there early so that you want to get there so you're not frazzled. You can't really sing effectively when you're frazzled and you all upset, because when you get there just on time, there's a certain amount of anxiety that comes along with it, because you're rushing trying to get there on time. You ain't quite make it, So that's a rushed feeling. And I don't like that feeling. I like to get there early where I can just relax and kind of bring my mind in and wash away everything that's happened and kind of focus. And that way I can do a better job. Discuss ideas with the directors and musicians or the coordinator in a tactful, loving manner. That's what one director said. Also, ask questions and clarifications at the appropriate time without causing disruptions or delay of rehearsal. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, but make sure that when you ask, it's not to, deflect on your fellow choir member or to embarrass somebody. If it's a legitimate question, we can tell from your spirit that you just got a legitimate question and you just needed to be answered. So just maintain a respectful tone. Turn off cell phones and other electronic devices. I don't know if any of you ever seen that video where the organist forgot to turn his phone off and it started playing, I can't remember the jingle right now. And so what he did to cover it up, he started playing an organ around the jingle. I think I posted that on my page one day. Turn your cell phones off. Or unless if you got an emergency situation. I do know that some people have older parents and they like to keep in contact, or they have children. At least turn it down or let it flash or something. That's kind of disturbing to have the cell phone going off. Don't chew gum during the service and rehearsals. It sounds like a little nitpicky, but if you ever sitting out there in the audience, or you the choir director, and you're looking at people and they sitting in the choir stand chewing gum. Some people pop the gum. It's just not nice. Choir uniforms. In order to promote harmony and unity among the choir members, robes are generally worn, or you can have uniforms. It depends. It depends on your choir. Some people, no matter what you say or do, some people are going to be a kind of extravagant, and you kind of like, really, did you kind of like think, whatever. So a lot of choirs stick with the choir robes. That's your choice. That's just the guideline to go. Now, if you have a bigger choir, a more established music department, then you need to go a little more detail. You might need to have a mission statement. There are some churches that have 5 and 6 choirs. I mean, they have a lot of choirs. So you need to have more detail, a mission statement. You need to list the officers in the choir and then define their functions, what they are responsible for. The choir directors, the choir president, the choir vice president. You got this choir secretary, what that person is responsible for. All of these things need to be notated. And there's, collaborating with people, I have like 4 pages. I'm appreciative. I'm very appreciative that people are working with me to get this information down. Choir treasurer, the person that collect the choir dues. If you have dues, the treasurer also comes up with deals for fundraising, musicals. How much should we charge? Should we just take a free will offering or whatever? That's what they do. And then the minister of music job description, you need to define that as well. The minister of music is the person that's over everybody, the entire department. All of these things need to be defined. And if you need a copy of it, just message me on the page, and I can send you what I collaborated with other directors and what we came up with. But you need to define it, okay? And like I said, for bigger churches, you need to define it even more, because you got a lot of people, and everybody needs to know, and you don't have time to go one by one with each person. You bring it to choir rehearsal and go over it with everybody. The more information, I know they say, people don't read or whatever, but the more information you give them, the better, more free-flowing things will be. Because a lot of times people react in ways and do things because they don't know the protocols. Everybody is not taught, and that's one thing we have to get away from. Everyone is not taught the proper way to do things. Understand that. I can't get that through to people. Understand, everybody doesn't know proper protocols. So they may do things out of order, and you have to kind of correct them and bring them in order, and leave that to the leaders. Whichever person, whoever is responsible. If it's the entire church and they do it in front of the entire church, then you let the pastor do it, or the first lady or whoever. If it's in certain departments, the music department, then let the minister of music handle it. Okay, but it's important to share information with people and make sure they understand and know what's going on, so that they won't act out of order. They won't do things. Everyone doesn't intentionally do things wrong. Sometimes we can deal with so many different people that say so many different things, and we run into all kinds of people, and we kind of like stereotype folks and say everybody's like this, well, everybody's like that. Well, you can't do that. You can't do that. You need to take in consideration, if you never, hey Timothy, hey Darnice, hey Lady of Wisdom, Demetria Pitts, if you never set them down, you really can't get them for what they're doing. Demetria Pitts said every church does not operate the same. No, they don't. Every church does not operate the same. Every church may not need a definitive list of rules and regulations to do. Some of them don't. I would advise that they do, that they would have bylaws and that they would go over them with the new members, especially in the choir. It's a lot of commotion and things going on now because we got so many laws and rules and things of that sort. But we need to keep it to a point where the simple person can understand. Okay. And like I mentioned before, you get a lot of people getting into the organization and things, and they don't really understand everything that's going on. It's just best to lay it out. And that saves you, because you've already talked to them. So if they act out of character or out of order, you can already say, well, we reviewed this on the proper procedures. Some people don't know. It's almost like at your job. You have a chain of command. When you have issues going on, the person needs to know what steps to take. You don't jump from go over the supervisor and the manager to HR unless you've tried to deal with them and then go. Same protocols. And like Demetria Pitts said, it all depends on your church. But generally, there is a chain of command that we all need to follow. And that was just some tips that I had to give out. Nothing really extravagant, just to give you an idea of different rules and regulations that you can draw up. I would tell you to consult with your pastor. Consult with your pastor. And get their input, your pastor, or your first lady, or whoever your pastor deems for you to talk to. Get their input as well. Don Mayberry said, new members class meeting for new choir members. Exactly. You need to have that. You really do. So everybody knows what they're responsible for. But I definitely would suggest that you have something in writing for them. But definitely consult with your pastor and get the input from them as to what needs to be done or what's protocol. As Demetri Pitts said, every church kind of functions differently. Some choir directors don't have complete autonomy, or ministers of music, they don't have complete autonomy. So they have to, fall in line with what the leader says. I happen to have more, I know my leaders, and I pretty much been in corporate America for years. So I know how protocols should work, and I also know how protocols should be in the church. It's it's more simplistic than it is in corporate America, but yet it makes things flow smoothly when everybody knows what your responsibilities are. You're able to stay in your lane, which cuts down on major confusion. We have enough confusion going on in the church world as it is right now. We don't need to be adding. Whatever that we can settle, that's what we need to settle. So I hope I already got some messages for some people requesting that I send this to them, and I'll send it out. So I hope I said something to help you out, just to give you some guidance. However you decide to do or go or whatever, that's on you, but I do strenuously suggest you seek counsel. You don't want to disrupt a church. You don't want to, be so militant and develop, rules that are not really applicable to the way your organization flows. Okay? You want to stay in your lane, and you also want to follow the protocols of the church. And I respect the leader of that church, and take in consideration all of the things that the programs and the way that they want things to flow. Okay? Because we all have to be subject. We subject to God first, but we have to be subject to the leaders that he put over us. And you cannot be an effective leader unless you're a great follower. You really can't. So in learning how to follow, you learn how to lead. You really do. A lot of people don't know that. They want to jump straight to lead because they just want to do the part where I tell people what to do. But you need to follow first. You need to follow first, because then you learn what it's like to receive information, to receive, I don't want to say command because that sounds like the military, but you receive instructions on how you should do. And you follow those, and that way you know how to relate to the people who are coming behind you. That's how it works. It's a chain of command. And we need to understand that chain of command. And it's our job as choir directors or ministers of music, or whichever capacity you serve. It is your job and my job to make sure that people understand what they are responsible for, so that life can be a whole lot smoother, at least in the choir rehearsal. It can be smooth in the choir rehearsal. Anywhere we can settle the dust is a beautiful thing to me. I hope I said something to help each and every one of you. Please continue to play for the East Coast. Professor John Henry, he's a major contributor to this show. He's not on. Of course, he had to evacuate. So our prayers are with him and everybody that's over there. A lot of the students there, North Carolina A&T, we're sending prayers out to them as well. Some of my friends, their children are on their way back home. So let's pray that God covers them and bless them to get to safety so they won't get caught up in that storm. Thank you all for tuning in on tonight. Everybody, I really appreciate you. And yeah, I told you I was going to keep this real short, and I am. So like, share, YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think. You who are on Facebook, let me know what you think. You don't have to tell me now, but let me know what you let me know what you think, and I'll respond to you. Everybody have a great night. Thank you, Deatrice. Thank you so much. Yeah, we are. Thank you. We are praying for those on the East Coast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate your attendance, and send a prayer up for me that I continue to bring information that is helpful to the body of Christ and to whoever wants to hear it. You all have a wonderful evening, a wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Get some rest, because that's what I plan to do. And peace.